Welcome everybody. Welcome to another stream. I have a simple question for you all right this second. And this is absolutely sincere. Somebody in chat came very close to annoying me there by suggesting it's not. I have a very simple question. What time is it right now? Because on my PC it says it's 5 o'clock. But I'm pretty sure, seeing chat, that the clock's moved. And apparently it's about 6 o'clock. And that's kind of crazy to me. Yeah, look at that. It's 6 o'clock. Why hasn't my PC moved? What the hell, Windows? Genuinely, I've posted a screenshot of it a second ago. This is, I'll post it again in chat for you all there. That is what it looks like. Jesus Christ, we're getting a lot of messages. What's going on here? The stream's only just started. That's a lot of messages. Yeah, why hasn't my PC clock moved? The clocks have not changed. Well, why is mine's changed then? Mine's gone an hour earlier. If it's 6 o'clock right now, that's crazy. So yeah, we are an hour late today. Because honestly, like, I live by this clock. Right here. That is bizarre. I don't know why would it have gone an hour early? So I have been on PC maintenance adventure time today. I actually have been in the guts of my PC and installing a new heatsink, which has been which has been a whole frustrating, lovely adventure all of its own. But I don't know why that would have changed my PC timer. WP has been living in the wrong time zone for 6 months. Well, no, clearly not. Yesterday, everything was perfectly normal. Because the stream, I went live when I said I was going to go. I want to be clear. I've gone live exactly when I said I was going to go live today. Where's that extra hour gone as well? Basically, there's been a whole hour today that is just evaporated. And, like, body clock-wise, I didn't even notice. Oh, look at this sexy new spud we've got here. Let's move this over. I never realised before, but I really like the colours of this face cam. That looks really good. Oh, my old room. Doesn't look wonderful. Anyway, yeah, your PC is maybe set to GMT and we're on BST at the moment. Yeah, but that problem would have manifested ages ago. I got no idea why that happened. You got abducted exactly when you said 1 hour later. Yeah, I don't know, alien probing and someone's fuck. But the thing is, I've not, you know, everything I do is around my PC at the moment, and there is absolutely, well, there's not zero chance, but it's such a low chance that this could be malicious. I don't know. I really don't. WP, why don't you show yourself just for once? Oh, do you know what, Vegan? You've just overturned 7 years of YouTubing philosophy with that lateral probe there. Here's a picture of me, guys. Boom. The saboteur's identity is WP himself. I sabotaged myself while drunk or something. The thing is, the last time I got drunk was, like, I would have to have done it in the last 25 hours. And, yeah. Does your butt hurt? If so, you got probed. I'll have to think careful about that and close my eyes. Ugh, bloody purple. What? Those balls are blue. Oh, you mean the ink? That's just the colour. It is a black pen. It's just the way that the light is striking it. Oh, what's my response then? That's just a car. Well. Might need to switch the battery on your motherboard. Ooh, is that something? Might I have messed around with that accidentally when installing this heatsink? Really annoying. Anyone knows a good PC case has a cut-out hole on the back of the, like the plate that the motherboard rests on, so that you can easily... Oh my god, the duck, that actually scared me. Oh my god, that was so loud. Anyone's got a good case knows that there's supposed to be a hole that's cut at the back so that you can easily hot swap the back plate or whatever. And really frustratingly, it's slightly offset on my current PC case. So if I want to mess about with that stuff, I have to take the whole goddamn thing out. I have to unplug everything, pull it all the way out. It's a nightmare. Anyway, so I was trying so hard to use my previous cooler's backplate on the new heatsink's backplate. That was just working. So I got a £30 heatsink. I bought 2 of them. One for my main PC and one, much more importantly, for my render PC. Someone left a message on Reddit saying, why isn't the Google Drive doing anything? And I'm a bit annoyed they did that in a public place instead of just sending me a message, because I responded to anyone who would. But so, I mean, it's not a big deal. But so basically, I haven't been able to do the Google Drive for it recently because the rendering box has been down for about quarter of a year. Anyone who's been watching the streams know that. So anyway, I bought a heatsink last night, and I'm installing it in my main PC right now, doing the render box later. But I had to take the whole goddamn thing out, so it's just annoying. I used to enjoy tinkering with PCs so much, but once the thrill of like having built one goes away after maybe your third or fourth build, it's just annoying. It's just frustrating, fiddly, tinkery bollocks. And if there's any reason I want to be rich one day, it's so that I can just buy pre-built stuff at extortionate premiums and not care because it saves my time. So that's what most of my day was messing about with, just swapping that, basically, which is really pathetic to admit, to be honest, because it was such a quick and easy job. But let's just say I'm not very good with cable management and what's going on in there at the moment. Is that a Pokemon in the background? No, that's a game called Stardew Valley. When I was shooting these face cams, I guess it was sort of recent to when I was playing that with Matt on the Briefly Ran channel. I say briefly ran, it was like 7-8 months, wasn't it? Visual Wood. And I love that game. And if it ever properly gets out of a multiplayer beta and it goes properly multiplayer, I'd love to play it. Not on a YouTubing capacity again. Well, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so that's Stardew Valley in the background. Royal says, I'm planning on donating an 80 gold skin to the new guild. Is there a way to save a spot for me until I fix my PC? Unfortunately, no. I'm just going to say, I mean, 80 gold is insane, and it's really, really generous donation, but I'm not going to, like, hold the line just because you're going to pay more. If you can get in, then you can get in, I'm afraid. I mean, they're not going to be so chock-a-block that, you know, we have potentially 1,000 people we can get into Spud now, so you don't have to worry too much. Anyway, so this stream is called the Uncertain Crash stream, and the reason it's called the... And I didn't advertise this stream on YouTube or anything. The reason we're called the Uncertain Crash stream today is because I don't know whether streaming, my temps are going to go through the roof, because I actually don't know how well I fixed this thing on. We're currently streaming and in-game and browsing the internet at about 55, so I'm pretty sure that that's an okay temperature. I'm quite satisfied with that. While streaming, but before I started streaming I didn't know whether it was really sorted because I haven't had much time to test it properly. I'm not on any kind of overclock before anyone asks. Really, I just want some stability. The thing is, my previous cooling setup was a liquid cooling, and it was a closed loop system because I don't know enough, and I'm certainly not interested enough anymore to become like tinkering and sorting that shit out on my own. So it was a closed loop thing, and it was a bit old, and I could hear it like swishling around in there, like there'd been a bit of evaporation, and there was a lot of dust in the radiator and stuff. And so I just thought, do you know what, I want to go back to an air-based system, so I got an air cooler instead, and I've swapped it out. So the goal of buying this new heatsink is not to overclock and to do lots of tweaking anymore. Those days I think are sort of beyond me. Maybe not totally beyond me, I might do a bit of it, as and when I get some time for it, but yeah. Alright, 12 more days, yeah, 12 more days till Path of Fire, 12 more days till this lovely concept art and stuff we're looking at in the background right now becomes a thing. We're going to go in game in a second, and we're going to play stuff, and we're going to do some interesting things. What else we got? Wabisake? Hey WP, as a new raid wing could introduce mount-only mechanics, I would like to see the party getting on their mounts and traversing terrains during phase transitions in a boss fight, while quicksand or waves of chasing after the mounts. The idea is similar to some of the stages in the Rockman/Mega Man game. Please let me know what you think. Yeah, that's a great idea. Like a boss fight that in the phases you have to get on your mount and run around. A bit like what Gorseval achieved via gliding. We would have for mounts. The thing is, gliding is kind of about descending safely, and no raid boss ever truly played into that. I mean, maybe Zera sort of did, but it's interesting. Maybe we do need a mount fight where you need to get on the mount and you need to run away from... Imagine, you know Ascalon Catacombs? You know the boss fight there, Colossus Rumblus, I think it is, where he brings the ceiling down, and there's just all these massive AoEs, and the only safe place that's supposed to exist is supposed to be, generally speaking, Hodgkins, when he creates the bubble or whatever, Hodgins. I like the idea of sort of a raiding version of that, but you have to get on your mount to escape the falling ceiling as you charge around, and you're just not going to be fast enough without it. unless you're like a thief with lots of mobility and stuff like that, or a Deadeye or whatever. I think that could be quite interesting. The thing I'm a little bit scared of with raids right now is there are so many amazing mechanics that I think the devs should be giving an outlet to, and I'm scared that they won't, because what they're going to do is focus on the mount stuff. So the next raid wing, right, should totally have like a spirit wall encounter or something, and maybe a boss fight that thinks about mounts in the middle. So you could leave combat for a second in the middle of the fight, and then you can mount it up and go along or whatever. Or maybe they'll introduce a special thing where if you get a certain buff while in combat, you can mount and demount freely, even though you're in combat, or something like that. I don't know. I think that they're going to play with that, and that's fine, and that's fun. And, you know, there could even be specific encounters for all 4 of the different mounts, because each is a different mastery, you know. But then, I want to see more with the elite specializations. I want to see a flacking job where a Deadeye is really well suited to it, because the flacker can only hold the flak's aggro as long as they're doing a certain threshold of damage, or they can only survive the flacking job by doing a certain amount of damage, and it also happens to be at super long range or something. And I want to see lots of incoming Condi damage to play into the Soul Beast and the Renegade stuff. I want to see, and just general cleanse for what it's worth. I want to see lots of Boon Strip necessary on a boss fight. I talked about this with a friend a couple of days ago, maybe, or was it last night? I can't remember. But I like the idea of like a boss that has massive amounts of instantly replenishing long duration boons. Think about this, right? Imagine a boss that has like every boon in the game and they're constantly refreshing, except like Aegis, because the blocks would be super annoying, right? And you want to strip those, and to some extent you can, you know, try and work your way through with Mesmer Sword autos and Necro Scepter autos and Phantasmal Disenchanters and all of that kind of stuff. You can kind of chip away at it, but generally speaking, they're going to be there, right? And null fields and stuff. And, you know, you really have to exert yourself to get through. But if you break the boss's break bar, all of them go away for a period of time. So what this fight would do then is it would be like a lot of fights where you break the break bar and then that generates a burst for you. And any comp can get through it. It's not forcing certain tech choices, but it's heavily making us want those tech choices. And then what's really cool about that setup is the Spellbreaker with Winds of Disenchantment, the Elite. That would be really cool for a Spellbreaker, because essentially what you can do is break the break bar and generate a burn for yourself. And then also, in the cooldown between the next break bar becomes available, you can have you can choose to bring a Spellbreaker who can have fun popping his Winds of Disenchantment, and because he's got like a turbocharged null field, that then generates another like makeshift burn phase for your team. I want to see something like that, you know. There's a lot of things like that. There's a lot. And I think that it's the raid team's responsibility to introduce stuff like that. And I don't know. I feel like all of those lovely ideas are probably just going to be ignored in favor of mounts. Or many of them. There might be some slight leanings one way or the other to encourage them, but most of them. Anyway, there's my rant on that. Sorry to interrupt you, but you didn't notice a £30 donation? Someone donated £30 to this? We haven't even played the game yet. What is this? Breakbar's Resident Sleeper. Oh my god, JP Ulysses, you're speaking heresy. They're amazing. What is this? Let me have a look here. Tea Maker Jason. Put towards a new clock, he says. What? 43 minutes ago? That's got to be a joke, hasn't it? Did you do that for... We haven't even been live 43 minutes. We've been live 20. That's quite scary enough. You seriously? £30? Wow, thank you very much, Tea Maker Jason. What? That's a big donation. That is a big donation. Well, thanks very much. Yeah, I don't know about the clock. I'll change it, I guess, after the stream is over. What's frustrating about that as well is I'm well tired right now. And if I'd known that it was actually an hour earlier than it actually is, I would have happily streamed earlier so that I'd have a bit more energy for you. What if there was a potential future raid boss where it gains a random boon at intervals, and when it gains all of them, combine them to a Vine-Tooth Prime-like buff, adding permanent damage boost to the boss? That's a nice idea as well. I think that that's a nice little rolling background mechanic. Sure. But I also think that Mesmer Sword Auto needs to have its boon rip removed in order for things like that to really shine, because you're going to have Mesmer Swords anyway, and a lot of the time it's sort of a non-thing. Like, as evidenced by, say, what they did with VG. But yeah. Thurman says you would just have both Chronos run Disenchanter in that situation. Yeah, Disenchanter is pretty OP, but I'm okay with people running a tech slot that compromises their alacrity a little bit, right? Which it does a little bit, I guess. I'm happy with people teching in on a utility skill on a class. And Boon Rip is a part of Mesmer's identity, so it's fine that they would have the Disenchantment and they would do that. But, oh, here, we are dropping a couple of frames here. Uh-oh. The uncertain crash stream, guys. I just saw one of my temps up to 67. It says CPU usage is still only 7.3%. We're in the red, though. Maybe this is an internet issue. Did the stream just die? It didn't die, did it? IMO, arena that hasn't used break bars to their full potential yet, or rather they've mostly used them in the same uninspired way. I'd love to see more different uses and effects of the break bar. I think that they've got a couple, haven't they? They've got break bars to nail specific animations. They've used break bars as generic long-term things where you can proc a CC at any point you like you see with most dungeon bosses. They've used break bars as substitutes for health bars, like you see with Chuck Bracers. And they've used break bars to just make enemies immune to certain types of CC, like blinds and stuff. Like you see in the Arc Fractal, the anomalies that are around the edges. Those are four very different uses for break bars that I've noticed the devs are doing. What other ideas are there? Buy a Ryzen 1700. Your GPU is running... Well, it's not my GPU that I'm worried about at the moment. But Jesus, that's a hot GPU, Flaganti. That's a very, very hot GPU. My goodness. No, I know. I'm not really... I'm pretty sure it was an internet thing. I just saw... We just dropped 1.7% of the frames of the stream. I just want to warn you guys. If we are laggy and technical issue-y and shitty, the stream's going to end very early. Because I really don't enjoy putting out subpar stuff, and I also don't enjoy trying to troubleshoot to, you know, hundreds of people watching. I think that's all shit, so yeah. Can we see your face on your vlogs if we donate over 20 bucks on Patreon? No, you can't just... I'm not some whore. You can just pay enough money to bend to your will. I don't like the idea of doing facecam stuff. I see no particular reason. I've explained why many times before. That's my opinions. That's what it's like. If you don't like that, then there's other YouTubers, I guess. You can't just throw money and hope that that will change. At some point, I might start doing facecam stuff, but again, I'm not gonna. It's a discussion we've had many times. I've explained many times. Hey WP, Irma is about here. Glad I'm catching one last stream before I lose power. Oh, scary, scary. It's nice that you're spending your final hours here with me, CK Swiss. Are you nervous? You scary? If WP is already having trouble with temps, then he won't exactly get easier when he upgrades to Coffee Lake. What is Intel doing? Coffee Lake? I haven't heard of this. Is this news about the future of Intel? I thought the next like TikToks were already established. Coffee Lake? Hi WP, just logged on my PC and you came on, lol. That's awesome. As a non-guild bound player, I wish ArenaNet added a solo housing experience? Question mark. I feel like this would give more functionality to scribing. Yes. It is from the Visualwood LP, I'm pretty sure. Or it might be the trailer of the game. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too much of a housing fan, really. Someone mentioned in Twitch chat a second ago, while we were rolling into the stream, the idea of doing, like, ranching for like a mount stable and buying different saddles or crafting different saddles and stuff like that and getting like mount storage and I don't know, whatever other kind of ideas you might go for. I think that would have been an interesting idea for a discipline too. Coffee Lake is Intel's response to Ryzen and it will have 6 cores, but Ryzen is better for content creators. Really? Why is Ryzen better for content creators? Not even for $1 million, Devilfinger? Alright, I have said this before, I have admitted this before, every man has his price. It's not something you should encourage people saying, but I am a believer every man is his price, and I am a man like any other. You could probably tell me, hey, WP, I'll let you retire early if you do this thing for me, and I will, at some point, I will break. Money can do amazing things. It's just good smarts at some point. Is it against the rules to ask you if you are enjoyed our submissions? Yeah, Papa Nurgle, I'm guessing you might be the person who expressly directly asked me recently, hey, did you like my thing? It's not against the rules, I just don't think it would be right. So, people that don't know, we're doing a big competition where people are making videos around Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 2 hype and stuff. And, the question is, oh, do I like them? I don't know whether I should tell you whether I like it or not early, because it's sort of unfair. I shouldn't be like... I mean, I jokingly said, way back when, who is it? Christ, why? Doombox. When Doombox did his video, I said, oh, you've won, Doombox. You know, it was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke. I don't know whether I should do anything more than that. So I'd like to just sit on the background. It's really frustrating for me at the moment because, guys, can I just say and don't troll. Like Twitch chat, I always get a bit scared of Twitch. I don't know. I feel like when we're dealing with trolliness and sort of how seriously people take things. I'm not saying people are dumb, and I'm not saying people are childish and blah 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 on Twitch. But people tend to be much more boisterous when it comes to Twitch. So I'm a bit scared to link this because I'm very deadly serious about this right now. I'm kind of frustrated because I've got a mega thread right now for the competition where all I want to see is like hundreds of comments and lots of people saying, looking at each other's work and talking about what their plans are and you know, really looking through the submissions and having fun with it and talking about specific things and dropping feedback and stuff. I really want that, but there are very few messages on that thread. Very, very, very few. So I'm a bit nervous doing this, but I do ask you, Twitch, if you want, go have a cheeky little look at the thread there, and if you can drop some responses, that'd be nice. Because what's frustrating for me is I want to leave lots of messages. I would talk about so many of those videos, but I can't because I'm trying to stay impartial. Do you get what I mean? So that's the whole story there. Anyway, there's the link. Trolls, Twitch. Now you always see it, right, when someone makes like a Reddit thread while a Twitch stream is ongoing or around something that happened on Twitch. People just spam kappas and use Twitch slang and just they have no substance to any comments. I think what Twitch does is it encourages people to just type LOL and then like so and then just move on, and that sort of they get then they go to regular discussion forums and continue acting that way. I think that's what it sort of comes from. Alright, we will get in game in a second. Any new sigils, runes coming from the P-Earth expansion? Yeah, there's going to be a new rune for every elite spec, at least. Also, didn't we see some runes that weren't associated as well? I would expect a rune for each map as well. And some sigils in each map or associated with story rewards and stuff. A lot of that was the sigils were themed around interrupts for Heart of Thorns. I'm guessing this time around they're going to be themed about Boon Rip. I don't know what might they be. You guys can choose there. But yeah. So oh my god, I'm so tired. All right, let's go again. We were going to do story, but I'm really scared about double recording again. So I'm not too sure about that. Hello everyone. The swamp monster has arrived. Dun 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 dun. So I've got just like 7 more ABs to do now. Let's have a quick look, shall we, at how many ABs there are left. Let's give you guys some game audio. Nope. 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 I mean, oh, that's why. I was messing around with so many sliders for so long there, and then I realised, oh, it's just this. Alright, there we go. Again, I can't believe they're £30. Jesus Christ, thank you very much. Thanks very much, Teammaker Jason. And thanks to all the... So yeah, apparently, I never knew this either, because I'm a bad streamer. But apparently it's September, which means you've got a choice of like half-price subbing to someone or something if you want. I don't know. But a couple of people did that yesterday, presumably. So subbing is now half. I don't know if that's worth half to me as well now, but yeah, that was a thing. And I guess I'll rectify my comments on that. Can people submit potatoes for face cam? You're goddamn right you can. You've just made me realise that the overlay is totally broken for that. They totally can, and I love people to do it. I really enjoy it. It's one of my favourite things about streaming. So please, 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 do go ahead, and I will. I'll be over the moon to see any of that. That'd be really cool. What basically amazes me is that if Intel only took it easy with their reaction to Ryzen and Threadripper and just stick to with their plans as they were before AMD's new releases, they would have been fine. They're acting like panicking chickens. Ryzen is good, but it's not like the superior product in every way. What they've done is bringing the competition back to the table, but they're still the ones playing catch-up. Yeah, like last I was really familiar with all of this was that Intel was way ahead of the market and to like a detriment of the market, really, and for fears of monopolization and so on, and it wasn't really too good. So what has really changed? Can someone send me a link to that? I think that's all very interesting, to be honest with you. Have you been able to use no update UI switch together with both Arc DPS and Guild Wars 2 Hook? No, I haven't used any command line arguments. Oh, so someone explained as well our long-ass story about the arch, right? And the disappearing arch. And if we hang our camera just right, if we play at a higher resolution, this is easier. But if you hold your camera just right, you can see the whole thing. Ready? There it is. No, ready? There it is, right? I looked through chat. So basically, the theory, as far as I understand it, someone sent me a lovely Discord message, but I couldn't quite interpret the picture, is that the camera is closer. It's like, you got to think about the position of the camera. It's better demonstrated here in LA. So we'll go do that. Let's get the hell out of Kershaw. There's more than enough Kershaw on yesterday's stream. We don't need any more of that. You can do a first-time sub for half price the whole of September, and streamers still get the full prize. Oh, well, there you go then, guys. Yeah, so if you've never subbed to someone on Twitch before, I think this is what it means. You can do it to me, guys, and you get it half price, and I get full value out of it. That's pretty exciting. Maybe we'll do a giveaway or something. Yeah, so you see this lighthouse? We can see the lighthouse on the left. If we look directly at it, it goes away. Now, the reason for that is because the camera, while the camera's here, the camera is closer to the lighthouse, and what we're doing is we're swinging the camera further away when we do that. I think that's the idea. And except it's like a triangle, or it's a square, or it's a circle. I've heard many shapes be mentioned in relation to this discussion. Ryzen 1700, 8 cores, 16 threads, £280. It's slightly worse single thread performance, but only slightly. From what I've read and heard, Intel is still your first choice for gaming, for multitasking, streaming, YouTube and so on. Ryzen's probably the way to go. Well, I think that that's a weird blanket statement to make as well, because depending on the software you use, it can play at different levels with different hardware. Like Sony Vegas, right, which is what I'm stuck with, and I don't really think Sony Vegas is very good, or I'm actually with Magic's Vegas now. I don't actually think Vegas is too good. But I'm used to it, and I've been using it for years now, so I just keep going. And there's another side to this story. But for a long time, there was no development on it until the company got bought by Magix, and Sony was holding it in the later years. They weren't up, and even the more recent updates, when they moved from like Pro 10 up to Pro 13, none of them properly looked at hardware. So it was true that if you wanted fastest rendering speeds on Sony Vegas, the hardware that you had to run was like old. It was like 2008 AMD card and a 2008 specific Intel processor, and it was old stuff, because none of their like rendering presets and things had been updated to even recognize new hardware, let alone utilize it. And so that it was genuinely true. It was like some weird 12-core old CPU that generally didn't even clock that fast, but it was the fastest way to execute renders and get preview playback speeds if you were running Sony Vegas, right the way up till like 2015, 2016, right? And that was old at that point. And it's really funny actually that we're having this discussion now, because it just so happened that I noticed 3 days ago that my god, I've just had that moment where I've realized we're still listening to the Lion's Arch music again. I just noticed about 3 days ago that Magic, so anyway, the Magic's bought it, and then they did Pro 14 last year, and Pro 14 was barely added anything, and it was a bit shit, and definitely not worth the hundreds of pounds they were asking for. Sure, I'll join the squad, which was a real shame. But they just 2 weeks ago, I'd missed it, and I only saw it a couple of days ago, but 2 weeks ago they pushed Pro 15. So the community of people that run Vegas these days is tiny. It is really small. But I'm actually running the Pro 15 30-day trial right now to see what I think of it. And that is one of the things that spurred me to get in this heatsink, because I was like, all right, look, let's let's fix some of this stuff up. Let's look at our rendering. And in Pro 15, finally they've started to look at more modern architecture. So yeah. Anyway, like even the blanket statement that Ryzen is better for YouTubers, you know, I don't even think we can make a comment like that, or I certainly can't. Maybe if you run more mainstream software that's a bit quicker to react to stuff, might be true. You're right. I don't know why I wrote Coffee Lake. I was obviously thinking of the X299 chipset. I've been reading too many articles this week. Yeah, I'd never heard of Coffee Lake until today, but I must be quite out of the loop. Living and breathing Path of Fire certainly doesn't help.
Such might.
Running Arc's EPS in the open world so elitist. Yeah, but it only shows you people in your squad/party, so... Oh, I'll tell you what though, it's, I don't know, I don't want to be one of those guys, but it's truly amazing to look at. Like I did a Garant last night. The Tempest I was playing with, got... Basically, the top DPS was me and the Tempest I was playing with. There was only one other player out of all 50 that even had half of our damage. And it happened to be a Condi Berserker, who was the #1 DPS. So he was better than the both of us. He was doing very well. But, you know, that just shows the state of things. It was actually insane. It's really interesting. And I don't mean that as a cruel, mean judgment or whatever. It's just interesting to see what the actual state of open world is like. Because you tend, and I like it, if anything, really, because I've always had quite a cynical, kind of ugly impression of big meta events, and that they're not that fun, really, because, like, you can't really carry because it gets scaled to so many players. But the truth is, if you run Arc, if you run BGDM back, you know, we rewind the clock a bit. The truth is, if you actually run these things, you'll notice that individuals do carry big open meta events. You can have 100 people scaling a meta event, and you know, only 10 players in that group are the ones that are actually doing anything. People, there genuinely are individuals, very few amounts of players are carrying the rest of the entire map. I mean, it is crazy. It's really interesting to look at and just behold. It would have been so insane to have had access to tools and stuff like this back when we were grinding on the Triple Trouble Worm. Probably a good thing we didn't, actually, because it would have created some... there would have been genuine anger and elitism and snark and grossness if that stuff had been possible when Triple Trouble and Tequatl came out. It would have been really bad. Because what you guys have to understand is when we were going for World First on that, they were capped maps. It was 150 people in that shard of Blood Tide. And there was no one else there. No one else. And people would not budge because they didn't want to miss World First. They didn't want to get out of it. And so if it had been revealed that someone was truly terrible, they were like in blue gear or whatever. Maybe they were amazing, but they were in blue gear. If that and commanders had started getting angry about that, it would have been very, very bad. It would have been the most toxic scenario I've ever seen in Guild Wars 2. I can say that pretty comfortably, and that's coming from someone who's experienced a lot of toxicity in PvP. It would have been terrible. So maybe it's a good thing. Yeah, sorry, it was my Skype. I've turned it to a D&D now. Sorry everyone. No, you don't have any friends. No, it's only me. I'm the only one who's got someone to interact with here. My bad. Yeah, so why are we in Siren's Landing? Well, because with this almost done, 7 metas left, the only other thing I've really got my eye on right now is Rare Collections and Relic Collector, where I want to get the Relic of Dwayne and Balthazar next. That costs a lot of karma, but it also costs some oysters. So by coming here with the maxed out Karmic Retribution, we can actually get quite a lot of karma. So if I double click this, that's 1,000 karma right there. That's 1,800 karma right there that we just got. So we can actually get quite a lot of karma. And we want the oysters anyway. And it's a new map and a lot of people haven't experienced much of it. And we're supposed to be covering Living World Season 3 stuff right about now. Episode 6 stuff right about now.
Faster.
So fun. I thought I'd show it off while we just ramble about other little things. Can you join the squad? You are more than welcome to 1B Riot. This is going to be a weird stream because very few people will show up because we've just not talked about it anywhere. Only those who know the schedule will be here. And of those that know the schedule, I think they were expecting me an hour ago because my PC clock is currently messy. Hey, really sorry to bother. A friend also applied for the guild and an invite was sent. I saw this morning, but not when she logged in. She doesn't have it anymore. Alright, yeah, so this happened, unfortunately. Spud Club 2 is going good. Oh wait, this is a regular Spud Club. Spud Club 2. We got 100 members. Oh, it's happened again. Shit. When did that happen? Alright, so listen, I need to be very clear. If you sent me a mail trying to join the Spud Club, and then you disappeared for hours and hours and hours, what would have happened is I would have gone on, seen your mail, sent you an invitation, and then left, right? And what would have happened at that point is when we hit 50 total members of people joined, the game says, you can only have 50 members, not allowed anymore, and it cancels all of the invites. So essentially what's happened is if you got really unlucky, your invite might have been thrown in the bin by the game. It happened again here at 100 members out online. I need to go back to this, and I need to apply for a larger license, and I need to get another one there. It will happen again at 250, I think. Or 200, I don't know when exactly. So, if you sent me a mail and you think that you should have had an invite, but you didn't accept it, then you're going to have to reapply. And I'm so sorry about that, but I have no way of verifying who got thrown in the bin like that. And, yeah, I'm sorry. A couple of people I've identified, I was like, no, I remember I did give you an invite, so here you go. I really, really, really am sorry, but it's sort of not got anything to do with me. It's ArenaNet. And yeah, so if you don't want to be unlucky, if you don't want to be caught like that, if you're going to send me a mail requesting an invite, try and watch closely, because you want to accept that invite as fast as possible. Don't let it be hanging there until eventually it gets thrown in the bin when we hit the next member threshold. Understood? Alright, cool. Sorry about that, guys. You are quite neat and organised with literally everything you do. It's quite amazing. Is that a joke? Really? Are you being... That's a love... That's so nice. That's such a wonderful compliment, because I know it's not true. I know it's not true. Neat and organised? What am I neat and organised with?
Faster.
Christ. I can't believe it. I'm sure there'll be many people who just... are you talking about in terms of the way I'm getting this heart? Do you want those of us in Spud to join Spud 2 as well, or do you want us to leave room? Generally speaking, double membership is allowed right now, but I don't like the idea of encouraging it too much, because ideally this is about getting new members, not just doubling up, right? So if you're going to be in a branch, I would suggest you pick a branch. Do you want the one with the crazy decorations, or do you want the one with the crazy activity? Like, the rep rate in Spud Club is not that high. A lot of people are in Spud Club that don't rep that much or care too much about the community. The Spud Club 2 is filled with people who desperately want a community right now, so there's sort of a lot more camaraderie, I'd say, at this point on this area. So it's kind of your choice. And again, I'm not trying to disparage regular Spud Club. I'm just basically explaining stuff I already said online, everyone. On Wooden Potatoes 2, which had a video about this. Compared to others like you are outstanding, the fact you wrote a Google Doc and such for your guilds. Yeah, but I don't do that regularly enough. You just ask the GMs. I'll like have a flush of like heavy activity that lasts about a week or two, and then I'm like almost like a ghost, and I'm hard to get a hold of. And we have meetings and stuff, but it's like night and day difference for like a month or so, or 2 months, and then I'll be back, and then so I don't know. No, don't kill it, you wanker! Oh, it worked anyway. Oh, because we claimed the body. I love this heart. I really, really like the way that the stuff's set up in this map. It's beautiful. Alright, so we got Grenth's Reliquary. We also got... We should have Melanges, but I lost the active effect, I think. It's interesting. Oh, so here's something good for oysters. Check this out, right? What we do is right now the meta's up, and it just triggered. So here's a great way of farming oysters, guys, if you don't know. A lot of this stuff got left sort of in the dirt, and people didn't realise when the patch came out. So what you do is you grab a reclaimed essence, you plug it in, you go to your mini-map, and you TP, because the teleporters aren't down, they should be down. You teleport straight to another shrine. This one they already did reclaimed essence at, apparently, which is quite amazing. So then you tag this boss, yeah? And then you bail out again. Oh, is the boss already dead? Wow, we killed that fast. No, that was the other one. He's not dying fast enough. I've messed this up. If you're quick enough with this, you can go and drop a reclaimed essence in at every shrine before any of the bosses even spawn, and you can do like 2 loops. So here, we'll go to Balthazar now. And we can grab this chancel while we're at it. That's a mercenary, not an undead. We need to kill some undead. Where's an undead? I guess we'll wait for the wave to spawn. This also hasn't gone good. But this is really good because you can get all these chests that will go chest, 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 chest. You'll get them all. Oh my god, is this event bugged? Where are all the mobs? What? We gotta kill some undead here, people. Let's do it. Alright, well, never mind. Alright, so we can tag the gorilla, though. Yeah? And once we've satisfactorily tagged this guy, we can get out in this direction. There's so many active effects here in this map, it's crazy. Oh, that Balthazar resistance, that's so good. Just permanent resistance, fun stuff. Okay, and then lastly, Lissa. Oh, but I've not... Oh. Yep. And I mean, these shrines are account bound as well, which I think is really bad. And here we've got the illusionary beast to get to go tag nice and quick. And we're only getting silvers here, but it's not too bad. Then what you can do is you can go back through the shrines one final time, and you'll have like a ton of champ boxes and stuff waiting for you. So there you go. There's gold for defending the south shrine. Oh, it's up there. Oh, this is not right. I guess we might have missed this event entirely. So there you go. That's the northwest shrine. And we can just do the loop back through now and claim our loot. It's really good. See, AoE loot on Interact. Get a little chest. There's also these, which is just like a free excuse to get lodestones and stuff. You can get 8 every time the meta restarts. I do enjoy this map. Where is it? So we can open these coffers. You're always going to get your pearls back. Sometimes you'll get extra pearls. So there I got 2 extra pearls. And you can get lodestones and stuff also. So there we go. And then we'll go... Grenth we already finished, but we want Dwayne nearby, so let's do it this way. WP promoting bad open world gameplay. Maybe. Maybe. Oh, I just got a sub. Thank you very much, Nave Studios. Let me scroll up in chat. I want to see this. Do you have a dog, or was that at your other place? Currently, I'm at the other place. So, yes, I suppose. But it's not my dog, and I'm not going to be taking it with me when I get to another place. Do you want... sorry, that was from earlier. Compared to others... Oh, I guess there weren't that many messages. Sorry, we not got any interesting topics going on here, guys. How's everyone feeling? How do you have all of your inventory open? It's a checkbox here. Show bags and separate shared bag. These here. So you can have it like that if you want, or you can have it like that. I just joined the stream. This loop is for what? New Tarir farm? No. It's just a nice way to get some oysters while you're on this map. That's all. And to just claim some extra loot, extra karma. Stuff of that kind. Do you think that Aureen will be on the back burner for this expansion? No, I don't think she should be, because, you know, we're going to... you know, I've really got to do a video saying all my most expected lore storylines. I should do that. I should work on that. I should turn off this stream right now and go and script that. Or maybe I could script it on stream. That's something we should play with. Should we do that, guys? Should we script that on stream? Would that be fun? That would certainly be an interesting way to double dip and capitalize on my work. Time to make a rev. What do you mean time to make a rev? Condi Rev is fun. There is already another AB multi-loop. The fucking Reba in SW? What? What is this? They already said on which characters they will focus. Casimir, Ritlock, and Kanak. Yeah, I never watched that stream, actually. How was that stream? That dev stream? I guess we can't do it. Well, no, we can still do the video. Yes, that would be nice. Yes. That would be interesting. You know, I think in theory we could do it. Hold on, let me just check something. Hold on, let's get Abaddon's Shrine, and then We'll do some minor discussion on it, and if it rolls into something big, we could try it as sort of a pilot thing on the stream. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. I need to, because it's not worth the karma. I'd rather get oysters and other methods. But yeah, we can try that. That might be fun. It'd mean you guys who are here presently at this stream get a bit less value out of the ultimate video. Do watch it. The second part with Hugh was hilarious. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing a stream with Hugh again. Because it's, you know, it's been a while since he did the HOT ones. I don't think at any point since the Heart of Thorns hype ones was he around. And, you know, he was classically so PvP. I've got quite a lot of respect for him going onto a stream at all, because everyone's going to have that association as the PvP guy. And it's kind of a funny thing to, like, or, you know, one of the PvP guys, but, you know, one of the... I mean, he's always been great on streams. His presence on streams, he's always taken to it like a duck takes the war. He's always been very good with it, in my opinion. But it's like, you know, people aren't going to easily look at Hugh on a stream talking about story or whatever. What was it specifically he did in the expansion? I can't remember. I remember reading about it. But, you know, people are going to be like, oh, yeah... was doing Stronghold was a failure, was doing this was a failure, was, you know, in that kind of sneery, gross attitude that people tend to have online. But to go on anyway and say, yeah, I've been working on something completely different, let's talk about it, I think that's very cool. I've got quite a lot of respect for that. Hello, Baster Man. Welcome to the stream. Season 3 really brought karma back as in line as a needed currency. Yeah, you're right, Waldir. I'm really happy with it. Check out my karma right now. 71,000. I still don't think it should be in fractals. Come at me, guys. I don't think it should be in fractals. I don't think that people... I really think, right, that karma should be veteran incentive to do open world stuff. Because for veteran established players right now, there is not enough reason to spend time meaningfully out in the open world. I think the karma, and that was the initial idea for karma, that it was a dynamic event currency. So let's push it back into that. I don't know why I'm getting it for free just because I'm a fractal player. I'd be doing fractals anyway. I'm doing fractals for Ascended Gear and for
Such might.
I don't know, just because fractals are goddamn fun, frankly. That's why I'm doing fractals. And for Ascended, there's enough on there. You don't I like the idea of currencies having a very specific space. So I'm still a bit miffed at that for karma, honestly, but all the rest, I'm really happy. I like that finally they've made it more of a currency. Next in line, Spirit Shards. The video I did on where did Path of Fire... What did Path of Fire not deliver? I almost said where did Path of Fire fail, but apparently I shouldn't say that, right, guys, because it's too negative. On that video, I actually cut a bit out of that video where I talked about this, because I just thought it was a bit too picky and a bit too small, maybe, or people wouldn't really appreciate it. It's very hard to convince communities why syncs are important. And I did have a bit on the initial script for that where I was going to talk about Spirit Shards and the fact that they're a worthwhile currency for new accounts but a terrible currency for established accounts, and I want to see the next expansion do to Spirit Shards what Season 3 did to Karma. Sorry to this downstate player, I'm trying to rally you. I'm playing terribly, I'm not really rotating or anything, so don't expect too much. I put 40 Torment on him at least. I just love spamming Unyielding Anguish, I think it's such a cool skill. So yeah, I forgot my through line. Yeah, no, Karma's cool. It's cool, and I'm happy with it. I really am.
Last, now I will feast on their anguish.
Now I will feast on their anguish. By the way, did you see the Reddit thread with the lore tidbits from Angel McCoy? No, lore tidbits. So I was pretty out of the loop with this. I did take the time between this stream and the last one to read the Reddit thread about her departure, which I knew was going to be filled with like quite a lot of aggressiveness, right? And that was pretty interesting to look at, because people generally have not liked the direction she took the game in, and the story in, and the tone she put on the story, and blah 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 blah. It's unfortunate because I think legitimate criticism about what Guild Wars 2's story has become and the characters it's got and stuff, I think that when Angel's in the picture, that always got swallowed up by, you know, personality-based attacks and stuff about SJWs and just all this threatened nonsense and just all this contrived bullshit that I don't care about talking about. And that always came up whenever she was in the... and it got swallowed, legitimate discussion about the story. So it was interesting to look at that Reddit thread and see sort of where the balance was this time. But I think some people had some reasonable comments. My thing with it, as I explained on yesterday's stream, is I think you're an idiot to put... and I'm not scared to say that. I'm really not. People might think I'm being aggressive or snobby or whatever. I think you are an idiot if you're suggesting that the contributions of a single dev can be used to blame the entire... Like, I don't think you can ever put that squarely on her shoulders because of her personal opinions about things. I just don't think you can. Like... No one dev can implement a character and all of its voice acting and all of it, you know, all of its writing for years on end in a vacuum. You know, you can't just say, oh, Angel is responsible for Timey and everything I hate about Timey is because of Angel and fuck Angel because she made Timey. I think you're an idiot to say that and to suggest that because that's just not how big, that's not how the world works. Not, especially not large scale development like you'd find of an MMO. So yeah, I think a lot of the discussion about it all is pretty pointless. Any blame you want to levy at ArenaNet. I'm always very careful to do that. I talk about the failings of ArenaNet. I attack their ideas, not their people, right? And it's not just out of respect. It's just out of having some baseline understanding of software development. So yeah. Anyway. How much episodes do you think will be in Season 4? It's a good question. I really like that question. And I like that question because if you think about it, guys, in theory, Season 4 will be bigger than Season 3 because the 9-month roll-in that we had before will not exist. So and in those 9 months, we can potentially get another 3 or even 4 episodes on top. Potentially... Season 4 will be a 10-episode season, a 10-release season. It could be. And that's not even like an optimistic thing, but, you know, a 2-year gap. And that's also, and even having that, what's amazing, right, is the expansion team could have, like, 9 months to go away. Or not, maybe not 9 months, but they could, you know how they had to make Heart of Thorns 2.0 before? In theory, they won't have to make a Path of Fire 2.0. And they can use all that time to re-implement Season 1. They could use that time to touch up Corteria. They could use that time to do the 2.0 patch, I suppose. They could use that time for a couple of different projects and still be on par to releasing Expansion 3 of the same size and quality of Path of Fire at the same release space, timing-wise. They could, and that could leave us with a longer Season 4. All of these things can all happen all together, all at once. How cool is all of that? I think that's all quite thrilling. Do you think more episodes will burn out on the devs who are working on the next expansion? No, I don't, because I think that the Living World devs are, you know, they're not lesser devs. They're not supposed to be, as far as I can see, and all intelligent discussion about this should lead us to understand. Being a Living World dev instead of an expansion dev, if you're at ArenaNet, that shouldn't mean you're under crunch. That shouldn't mean you're the bitch boy. That shouldn't mean you're the whipping girl, right? It should just mean that you do Living World, and you have sort of just as your deadlines are just as important as the expansion team's deadline. Now it's going to be a little bit different because they work a bit faster, right? And their releases come around a bit quicker. But generally speaking, I think that, you know, that if there's burnout in the Living World teams, then there should also be burnout in the expansion teams, and vice versa. Ideally, if there's no burnout for the Path of Fire developers, there should be no burnout for the Flashpoint developers and the One Path End developers, and you know, whatever they end up rotating through into. I think the Living World teams are obviously going to be a little bit more limited in the kind of features they can put in because they have less time. And they have to do a lot more like borrowing of resources from elsewhere. They can't create, you know, entire new enemy factions and stuff. They probably can't flex their muscles and their creativity quite as much as developers. Jesus, my ear's ringing in such a weird way right now that I'm not even sure if it's my ear or it's a loud noise in the house. I'm pretty sure it's my ear. Yeah, it's my ear. You know, I think that they have a little bit less freedom, and in that sense you might call them the bitch boys. But in terms of burnout, the ArenaNet should not be in a place anymore where people are feeling burnt out. If they are, then there needs to be restructuring changes again. So yeah. That's what I would say, idealistically. Looking from the outside, I mean, Christ, I'm just like you guys. I'm no different to you. I'm just a dude that's speculating here. My opinions on all this stuff are just as valid as yours. If you want to check it out, the thread is called Small Lore Tidbits from Angel Lee McCoy. It's not the same thread discussing her departure. Alright, let's do that on stream, shall we? We'll go to the Abaddon Reliquary. We'll look for some interesting lore from a now departed lore developer. And see if there's anything I agree with and like and find fun and interesting. And we'll whinge if there's not. And then we'll start talking about all the different storylines that should be coming up in Path of Fire. That could be quite fun. Just because I'm a little bit scared to start Season 3. And if at that point we haven't started dropping frames and stuff again, we've dropped 0.9% of frames this stream so far. If at that point we're all looking good, we will continue with Living World Season 3. What do you think, guys? The uncertain crash stream, I like it. I heard someone suggest that Season 4 might not have one map per episode because they'll have to make huge maps for mounts. Thoughts? It's a reasonable thought. I can see why someone would think that. I don't know. What you've made me now think of, what I'm trying to work through in my mind, is how... What if they leapfrogged maps, right? Like, and how would I feel about that? How would that go down if every other Living World release wasn't adding a new map anymore? How much of my love of Season 3, where I have love for it, how much of that can be attributed to having a new map to go to each time? And you know, I'm not sure. I might be standing a bit too far away on this one. I'm not sure. It's really hard. I don't know why it's so hard for me to unpack my thoughts on that. What I can say is I do genuinely think that if any of these had released without a map, I'd probably be quite disappointed in them. But the suggestion would be that they can't do a full map, but they can do something or other. So we'd be like recompensed in some ways. But in what form would that take? So I don't know. I'm trying to think of like Season 1 releases that didn't add new maps, which, you know, were the vast majority of them, if not all, actually. Well, no, not all, but most of them. And they were enjoyable in their own ways, but were they as good as... I mean, what about Season 2? I don't know, I think Season 3's been a lot better than Season 2 just because of the new maps. I wouldn't like to see them have to start leapfrogging. But then if the maps are bigger... I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird one to think about. I think it's a possibility, but like map size doesn't mean map content either, right? Like the maps are bigger not because they've got more content in them. In a lot of ways, it's a bit of a sneaky cop-out, and I see this ArenaNet. I see it. In a lot of ways, what they've managed to do here is they've managed to give us the entirety of the Guild Wars 1 Crystal Desert back in an enormous map. But the amount of content, the amount of events, dynamic events, the amount of NPCs, the amount of different things there are, you know, moment for moment, the amount of stuff that's actually there is only equivalent to, you know, Sparkfly Fen or a regular map, even though it's so much bigger, right? So quite sneakily they've managed to do that. They've managed to say, here, have shit tons of landmass, but we're still only going to give you as much content as we used to. So when we explore that further, and we talk about developing Living World Season 4, so what? They make a bigger map. It doesn't mean that that bigger map is going to have is going to need any more content than Draconis Mons, because we travel around the map quicker. So the pacing feels fine. It all feels the same. Do you get what I mean? Dark Effect says, what about half map access, then whole map for the next episode? What you just said there is kind of an irrelevant. What's the phrasing I'm looking for there? That's just a matter of perspective. It doesn't actually matter, right? It's an unnecessary comparison. What you're talking about there is essentially adding two maps. Who cares if engine-wise they're linked and there's no loading screen? That's the only distinction. Do you get what I mean? It's basically the same thing. You're talking about doing it a dry top style. My microphone's popping. Yeah, I'm on a kind of crappy mic. I'll move it slightly, but then people start complaining I get too quiet and stuff. So, sorry, you're just going to have to accept that the streams rolling into Path of Fire are going to be a bit poo because of real life and, I don't know, things crumbling away before me as I desperately tried to hide them from the greater public. How do you think POF story will be? I replayed Heart of Thorns yesterday without mastery gates in between instances, and it took less than 3 hours. I don't know whether that's really an interesting discussion to me either, because yeah, once you've already played it and you're not stopping to marvel at the new environments you go to, and you're not thinking about dialogue as it rolls in, and you know where you're going to be standing, the playtime's going to drop down on your second time through, right? So I'm not sure whether that's really great. I mean, you say that almost as if it's a criticism. Is it a criticism, though? I am not yet worthy, apparently. Why am I not yet worthy? So, see, I don't have Melanju's Reliquary, but I do have Melanju's Reliquary. I did it. It's just that I left the map and came back. So what's the deal? How do I get the... How do I re-trigger this? Melandru, give me your buff. What do I do for this? How do I do this? What if they already made the maps during Path of Fire development and they just open them up and populate it with story? Well, from the perspective of us getting a really rich and interesting Season 4, that's very exciting, and a low burnout Season 4. From another perspective that's much more serious to me, I think that that would be a failing of ArenaNet, because what I think that would do would demonstrate that they still haven't figured out how to have the two content streams developed separately but in tandem with one another. It would be it would basically demonstrate that they still have to borrow from the expansion team in order to shift Living World, and I don't think that's any better than what it used to be. So I sort of don't like. And then there's the perspective of kind of, it's the same arguments as those day one DLC arguments. You know, you sell something, it's there on the disc, and you make someone pay to unlock it, or you arbitrarily make someone wait to unlock it so that they don't uninstall your game in a big boom bust of expansion fuss. You know, like, and I think that those are, there's pros and cons to those, but I wouldn't exactly be angry at someone who only looks at the cons. So yeah, I kind of don't like that idea. On balance. What do I do? Can anyone in chat tell me? I've already done the heart. Somebody said, do the heart. What do you think we've been doing for the entirety of the stream so far? I've already done the heart. The heart is done, but I don't have the buff on me. Because I did the heart and then we left and then we came back. So how do we resolve that now? What do we think, guys? I mean, it opened the gates to me. Or is it because I did it once on the account already and you can't do it per character? I thought it was a character-based thing, though. Maybe it's not. Maybe I did it earlier. Whoops, had it minimized. I mean, you have talked a lot about how great Heart of Thorns would have been with 2 or 3 times more story content, and that was a big disappointment for me as well. Do you think the extra 6 months to a year will make a difference for the size of Path of Fire story? Ah, there you go. Now you're speaking my language. Yeah, I think that, I've said this so many times. My absolute... the thing I would love to see is an act structure return. So here, this is Heart of Thorns. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4. Each of these takes about 40 minutes-ish to do. On a replay, your first time through, maybe they're about an hour of content. An hour and a half. Each of them is like a small Living World patch by today's standards, I would say. And they have a lot of, in the instances themselves, there's a lot of quality to them. And I've been replaying them for the Caladbolg stuff, and there really is. Like, you get to make a lot more choices in Heart of Thorns than I think people realise, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Path of Fire does there. You know, do you go with Laranthir, or do you go with the guys to rebuild the turret at the start? And you know, they got those cutscenes and stuff. There is a lot of quality in there. But it's too short, and there's not enough breathing room. My dream expansion would keep the 4-act structure, but each of these acts needs to be like twice as long. Act 1 needs to be about twice as long, Act 2 needs to be about twice as long, and the last 2 are really short, especially Act 4 is tiny and is such a rush and stuff. So I think if they can iron that out, then it'll be nice. So yeah, you're speaking my language there, but I was told I'm a hard man to please, based on my what did Path of Fire not deliver video. I was told I'm a hard man to please. And I think that comment came from someone who just interpreted me as a whinger and that I'm not pleased by Path of Fire. I am. And this is something I've found very hard to explain to people, that I can be pleased with something but also see room for improvement. You know, we don't have to live in these happy little kiddie binary black and white worlds where either we love it or we hate it. Right? We can find some middle ground. And I was told I'm a difficult man to please. I don't think that's true in that respect. I think I have been pleased by Path of Fire, and though there's a lot more it could have done, I think it's going to be great. But all of that said, when it comes to story and quantity of story and quality of story, I think maybe I am a hard man to please. Not in terms of like my expectations are wildly impossible to fulfill, because I think other games can fulfill my expectations, and I think in the past and in certain places Guild Wars itself has often fulfilled my expectations. But I think in terms of how this engine works and how their company is structured and how development of Guild Wars 2 has ran, I think in all of those terms I've been a very hard man to please. And my opinions on the Heart of Thorn's length, I think, is, you know, sort of a good example of that. Like, a part of me pictures the devs on release saying, oh, there's going to be all this cool story. Can't wait for the lore enthusiasts to get in there and play it. And then us lore enthusiasts, or particularly myself, sort of spit at it almost. And I don't think I've ever been that harsh. If you actually go back and watch my story review, it's not that harsh. It is pretty balanced. The first 50% of it, at least, is very balanced. When we get into sort of the terrible pacing and stuff at the end, then I get a bit mean. But generally speaking, I'm quite balanced about it. But yeah, not at all, I think, what they had anticipated or wanted. You said that you were of the opinion that build templates was too big of a feature to not be revealed by ArenaNet beforehand for the upcoming expansion. I disagree with you there. But whether I'm right is fairly irrelevant to me. I'm more interested in what kind of features you might expect that are small enough for ArenaNet to leave as a surprise for the release of Path of Fire. Dude, that's a really cool question, and you've given a very interesting opinion. You really think that? You really think that build templates could sneakily be dropped in with Path of Fire? Is that what you're saying, Philinor? Really? I mean, you're way more optimistic than I am. If you genuinely believe that, that is astounding. Yeah, build templates are way too big. Way too big. I mean, it would be so bad. Like, think about the amount of work and time that and people they'd have to hire to, you know, or talent that they'd have to dedicate to that, and then to put it in an expansion, and then not even to market the expansion on it, but to just dump it out there like it's an irrelevance. No way in hell. That would take money to develop. They would want to get money back out of it, and the only way that would make sense is to, if it's going to be there, they would talk about it. In my opinion. Anyway, what's a small feature that could be in there? You know, I actually had some examples of this the other day. I really did. And now they all elude me. I think stuff like gear identification, right? If we hadn't played the demos, we wouldn't know about that. That's not been advertised formally. But I think gear identification. When Heart of Thorns came out, the addition of 2 new attributes fell into that category. Expertise and concentration, they didn't exist, but they randomly appeared there. I think a legendary amulet falls into that category. Which is funny, because during the Heart of Thorns days, legendary backpacks, they were happy to advertise. But I think a legendary amulet available in a similar style to Aurora for absolute immaculate completion of all story, all achievements, all maps, all everything, just like Aurora was kind of like. I think that could make it into the expansion, and is sort of a feature that wouldn't be, you know, a new category of legendary that hasn't been advertised. I can imagine seeing that. What else? I don't know. I have had other examples. Twitch chat, help me out. Think about it, guys. Come and leave some messages. What's a small feature that might make it into the expansion, but that they haven't? That's a cool feature, but we just don't know about, that could surprise you. What's in the realm for you guys that could appear? Glorious Bees says extra character slots are build templates. I've never really heard an argument that tackles things in that way. It's like, oh, they do it. They give us lots of items so that they can sell bags to us. I've never really... there's another one. Larger bags. Ascended bag crafting. That's coming into the game. Ascended bag crafting is coming into the game. That's a small, like, feature of the expansion that is nonetheless not being advertised. God, this map looks really weird right now. I've got to tune my fog. I'm going to change the fog ever so slightly to be, like, not off, but, like, to about 10 to 15%, maybe 15%, and see how it looks. I think at that point I'll be quite happy. The pop-in is really weird, isn't it? Is it actually ascended? Well, it looked like from the mining it was using ascended materials and stuff, so I think they're going to be ascended. Additional core Tyria masteries. Is that really... I see, that's too small now for me to even consider it really a feature. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I take it back, Carbon Can. Carbon Can, I actually think you've got a really good idea there. So new core Tyria masteries, like a potion mastery, like we talked about recently. Yeah, like one more central Tyria mastery, that would be really nice. And that's like right on the edge, actually. That's right on the edge of being advertisable. I think that's probably... I think you win, actually. I think that's the best answer to that question I could have hoped for. I think that that is quite big, but just small enough to pip the post and not have been talked about before it comes out. That there's a bit of a chance it might be there. A new core Tyria mastery. As long as it was a fun one, I'd be alright with it. Weird map-based mechanics like treasure maps. Yeah, treasure maps are an okay example as well, I think. Yeah. But of course we've seen those in Season 3, so they're not new, but I get what you mean. A new mechanic in the health of enemies? What do you mean by that? You're not talking about like the chunking health bar UI thing, are you? Healers exist, just not a lot of content that demands healers. That person's correct, but their degree of what they're talking about is sort of off. If all you play is open world, then that's true, but even in open world, healers can be useful. They can be useful for keeping siege carriers alive in Silver Waste. They can be useful for keeping players alive at any of the gates in Auric Basin, specifically south, where there can be lots of CCs and annoying things. Healers can be nice in the open world in a lot of those big open world meta events, honestly. And especially the new Arcane Rezzing Ellie can be a lot of fun. And carry quite hard in a lot of situations. It's just not necessary. The only place that healers are truly like area of content that healers are just terrible to play. There's one in the game. I'll ask you guys, chat. Think about this. I am of the opinion, Wooden Potatoes is of the opinion, that there is one area of Guild Wars 2 where it's always a terrible idea to play a healer and you shouldn't try to do it. What is that area? And it's not necessarily that it has to be this way. The devs could change things up. It would just be a lot of effort. What's that one place? What do you guys think? There you go. Someone got it straight away. Personal story. Any kind of story-based content. If you're playing story solo, don't run a healer. There's no point. They don't design it such that you can meaningfully heal your NPC allies and they can do all the work for you. It's not like Guild Wars 1 in that respect. It's not like other party-based RPGs. Because there have been a great many games like that could work in personal story. They've never really figured that out, and they don't do it. So anyone who does just the story and then logs out, and I sort of detest people like that. Those are the kind of people that go online saying, "Oh, ArenaNet don't do enough content, it's not enough." And you're like, what do you mean? They're like, "I only got to play for half an hour, this patch was tiny." So what do you mean it was a tiny patch, you only got to play half an hour? I logged in, I started the story, and half an hour later I finished it. And then you find out that, you know, they didn't do any achievements. They made nothing but a beeline through the map. And skipped most of the dialogue because it's childish. And that's sort of their experience of Living World patches. And then they go off and tell their friends that the devs don't put out enough content. And that really irritates me. I loathe people like that. And for people like that, they don't get to play healers. To bring it back to the original comment. Why is Dobby talking? Does that sound like Dobby? Oh dear. Who only played... No, that was a big thing as well, especially during like Living World Season 2 days. That was a big problem. I don't really see it very much anymore, and that's nice, but during the Season 2 days, it was a big thing. You know, like the devs would do quite a lot to like expand the functionality of, say, the Silver Waste meta, or, you know, the Sandstorms were getting deeper and more interesting, or, you know, there was a lot going on. But people would, and new rewards and things to go for, but people would just play the story. They would be done in about 20 minutes, and, you know, I'm not entirely against the community there, because I do think that there wasn't enough meat in those Season 2 patches as well at the same time. But I think it was a bit ridiculous. The experience some people pigeonhole themselves into, and then blame the game, it's always a funny one. Nerd Voice WP, you're awesome content creator, but you sound like a twat. That's the point, my friend. That is the point. That's a brilliant observation. Speaking of sandstorms, I wonder if there'll be any in Path of Fire. Yeah, you know the dynamic weather thing that I mentioned? I don't know why I'm back here. There's no need for me to be back here. You know that dynamic weather thing I mentioned? I really only talked about that because what I generally wanted to see was a sandstorm in the game. And the devs didn't do one. Or so far that we've seen, anyway. Oh, let me get a quick tag, quick tag, quick tag, quick tag. You should be a puppeteer. The achievements are not viable. People really enjoyed that not viable one, huh? I think the easiest way to fix Timey Deus Ex Machina would have been to make the commander was the one correcting her and finding out she was wrong. In the future, no, Sivrian, I think you've combined two issues there. Having the commander suddenly pull the solutions out of their ass, and having the commander be the all-knowing, amazing one that finds all the solutions, that doesn't fix the problem of Deus Ex Machina. That doesn't make the story any more believable. It just makes you feel like you're the hero a bit more, which some people just unceasingly want to see. Heart of Thorns did that. What you just mentioned, Heart of Thorns did that. Heart of Thorns gave us a massive problem. How do we kill Morgemoth? And right at the last hour, with no lead up or thought, our main character just said, "Oh, let's go into the dream and do it." La di da di da. And if anything, it's so much worse having the main character suddenly come out and say it, like it was obvious the whole time. Because it's almost like deceitful on the part of the writers. It's almost like saying, oh my god, we are just pulling this out of our ass, but if we have the player character say it, it will look less like an ass pull, and it will look like it's more of a natural development when it's totally not. Heart of Thorns did that, so no, having the player character come up with the solution has got nothing to do with it. 99% of the time, look, all writing, all written forms of media and things like this, right, like, they're all arbitrary. Every part, if it's fiction you're into, unless you listen to autobiographies and stuff, and documentaries, it's all fiction. It's all constructed to be some ridiculous, you know, difficult problem that how will the characters ever get out of it, and then they find a way eventually, right? At a base level, it's all going to be like that. The difference between it feeling like an ass pull and not feeling like an ass pull, which is essentially what we're saying when we're talking about Deus Ex Machina in this context, is how early on they've feeded in the idea of a solution. And if they want that solution to also be a twist in the end, which I think quite often the devs are doing, and not everything needs to be a twist, but if they're trying to make it be a twist, is how early can they seed the plot, but also keep it hidden from being too obvious in the early days, right? Like, there seems to be this weird thing that the story can't be compelling or fun or interesting if the plan has been known. Like, there's kind of this trope. The more you know about the plan in advance, the more likely the plan is to fail. And you see that in TV and books and movies all the time. And it happens in games as well. But I don't think that necessarily has to be true. You can have a clear-cut, direct story that you know what the beats are supposed to be before it unfolds, and it's still an adventure to go on, and it's still fun. Like, I would argue the Lord of the Rings trilogy are brilliant examples of that. They are epic, wonderful, emotional, exciting, thrilling adventures. And from the start, any savvy media consumer knows, for any written piece of art or whatever, you know that they're going to destroy the ring in the volcano. And it didn't have to be a twist. It didn't, you know, oh, we can destroy the ring by throwing it into Mount Doom. That didn't have to be a twist at the last second, you know, in order for the story to work. And it's proven that that didn't have to work because that's not how the way that, you know, Tolkien handled it. And I hate to go on about Tolkien. That's just the first example I come up with, right? And I think games can struggle with that a little bit as well. Sort of twist mania. And that feeds into spoiler mania to an extent as well, I think. Anyway, these are all sort of story thoughts that we don't need to have. Oh my god, preach. Lord of the Rings is the best, yeah. That's funny, are you being ironic? It's like someone's been out there hoping someone will say Lord of the Rings is good. Such a controversial and weird opinion. Lord of the Rings is good? How dare you? This can't be true. Such controversy. That's almost like saying you enjoy The Witcher 3. Does anyone else enjoy The Witcher 3, guys? DAE? The Witcher 3? DAE, CD Projekt Red, the best. Look, this is, what I'm teaching you right now is how to farm karma, trust me. Check your notifications. Oh my gosh, okay, sorry. Joe Bum, best Dobby voice EU, shut up and take my spots. See, look, I may sound like a dick, but people are enjoying it. You sound like a dick, dude, whoever that was in chat.
Or prick, or whatever he said. Prick is so much meaner of a word. Wow! Someone donated £15 earlier as well. Scientia. I'm so bad with donations lately. I'll be travelling when Path of Fire comes out. I'm looking forward to your videos and streams to help tide me over. Oh, that sucks. You're going to be travelling? You're not going to be able to experience it? Well, I will be mostly spoiler-free for the first week or two, as you guys know. But other stuff, yeah, there'll be lots of content. Mahio says, I enjoy the sex scenes of Witcher 3. I love how blunt that was. Oh my god, thank you very much, guys. That's so lovely of you. Alright, who wants to talk about lore? Should we do this? What was the other thing I was going to do? I was going to try and get Melandru. It didn't work. I don't have Melandru on me. Is the Might Melandru maybe or something? Look at all these buffs. Should we do that? What was the other thing I was going to do? It was something before the... Oh yeah, we were going to look at Angel McCoy on Reddit. Right. Let's have a look. Alright, Twitch chat. It's just me and you. Do you want the big face cam or do you want in-game? What do you want? Do you want to look at this for a little bit? Do you want to look at my ugly mug? Sorry if off topic. Any tips for someone trying to grind their first legendary? Chat's really good right now, and I think it sucks that I'm missing so much. I mean that the commander is the one who discovers that she is wrong, not necessarily that the commander just has an epiphany. Oh, so you mean the reverse, discovering that they're wrong. Okay, well yeah, that works. That's nice. That's better. Less WP, more Joe Bum. Do you think falling sand in POF will blind players like it does in Silver Waste? I hope so, because that was one of those really cool little details that I enjoyed about Season 2 that I feel like Season 3's had less of. Philanor said, I don't think build templates are a small feature. They require a lot of effort and thought to be implemented well, and it's not hard to say that even without some experience in programming. I just don't think they are very marketable. Yes, old players and new hardcore, critically thinking players will love it, but is it something that can be put as a bullet point in a marketing scheme? Question mark. I see your angle, Philanor. I think that's an interesting one. And my answer to that is I think yes. Because I don't think it's a big detriment to include it. Right? I've seen a lot of games market to their established user base. And, you know, it's not an on-off situation to me. I think that, you know, they can have mounts on there which appeal to lots of outside players on the same list as build templates which would appeal to established players or older returning players, you get what I mean? People who quit in 2013 and you know, I think that they can do that. And anyway, it's not so much about it being on a bullet pointed post on the list, but it's also about word of mouth, and I think that's the main thing. If build templates were announced for the expansion, or to be dropped in tandem with the expansion, more explicitly I should say, not necessarily on the official website or whatever, but from a dev comment, if that happened, there would be that would foster a lot more enthusiasm and excitement and happiness within the community, and then that would have the knock-on effect of making more people on average tell their friends on average about getting Guild Wars 2 on average and increase the sales on average. So yeah, that's sort of my other thing. Oh my god, chat. What do you guys want? Do you want me to just sit here? Should this just be a long-ass Q&A, or should we actually get to some content? You could try map swapping out and wait until the shrines go down to grab the Melandru buff. Oh, I'll tell you what, we did the meta again, didn't we? So I can actually get a couple more oysters. Let me just quickly do that, just before we move into another phase of the stream. Because every time the meta rolls, you can buy more. 8 more, I believe. There you go, so 8 more. And hopefully we get lucky again. There they are. Mostly just unstable stuff. But this is okay, because when you salvage it, you get a ton of magic, so. Lovely. Lots of magic. 1,900. So much. So very, very, very much. Alright, I hear people talking about fishing as a feature they'd love to have, but I guess I'm just not seeing the big picture as to what would be great for. Can you explain what that would be great for? It would be a casual feature, obviously. But it would be Guild Wars 2 embracing this idea of AFK culture in MMOs, which Guild Wars 2 currently doesn't. And a lot of people enjoy. It's sort of one of those ambient, fluffy features that I think people think would be better than it actually is, but even while thinking that, I also think it would be good for the game, and I'd like to see it at some point. Mostly, I view it as a good part of the game, as a tool to drive player exploration of old areas again. I like the idea that if you fish in Harathi hinterlands on this river, a specific area on this river, you can find like a variety of salmon you won't get anywhere else in the world, which is used in some endgame fishing recipe for 500 cooking or some shit. I like that idea. And Lake Doric's got something. I like the idea of just being able to explore Tyria and see just random people parked on little rafts or at the edge of the water basins with their fishing rods out. I just think it's one of those extra little things. I also think that super casual, super AFK hands-off features are really important for MMOs in terms of encouraging social activity. Guild Wars 2 has a lot of things working against it in terms of making friends and speaking to one another. One of those is the ridiculously active combat and stuff, but also they just don't encourage much slow-paced AFK kind of things. And it's situations like that where you find people talk to one another. You know, one of the really interesting things about the Geralt meta event, and I'm sure this wasn't by design, but these days, because of power creep and player understanding and stuff, people finish the lanes very quickly, right? And you end up standing around at the cannon, just doing nothing. And these are kind of interesting moments because people are just standing there waiting for loot. Standing around waiting for loot is the same experience you'll have with fishing. And what you find when there's a group of people standing around waiting for loot here is everyone's really conversational and nice and friendly, and it's cool. And I think MMOs need moments like that. And I don't know whether that was really by design here, but it can be by design with a fishing feature. So there you go. Wooden Potato's thoughts on fishing. Deep sea fishing while you're on a skimmer. Oh, that's a cool idea, Slack Cat. Isn't that a cool idea? That's like Pokemon fishing, where you're on the back of like a whale mirror or something. Yeah, you missed the NG farm for the social chat while playing, says Ilyu Creative. And yeah, that was one of the nice things about NG farming. That was a silver lining to it. If they implemented fishing, do you think it would be like resource nodes, or do you think they'd build a new system? I would want a new system personally. Resource nodes, I think, would be a shit way to do it. I like to walk around seeing people with their rods out, wooden potatoes. What a quote. Alright, let me go on to Reddit. Let's see what Angel said about the story. Oh, I've got a message on Reddit. It's about the Path of Fire contest. It's not lots of cappers. So yeah, by the way, guys, if you're looking for some discussion and cool stuff about hype videos and things, please do come here. I noticed something really funny. Someone did a hype video for Guild Wars 2 where they put some music, and it's some nice music. I like the production. I think it's mostly carried by the music, but I won't be a snob. And certainly not in a public space, I shouldn't be. It's a cool video, and anyway, it got pretty well upvoted on Reddit. So I watched the video, and whenever there's like a hype video these days, I'm like, I wonder if they're submitting that for the competition or not. Reasonable thing to think of, right? Anyway, this one wasn't submitted for the competition. That's perfectly fine. It's people in the, you know, whatever, it's fine. This one wasn't submitted for the competition, but really bizarrely, I looked at the guy's tags, because I wanted to see what he was doing in terms of trying to get his video out there to try and... Because if someone's making a hype video, whether they're doing it for the competition or not, they're doing it to grow the scene, and I like to see that, and that's very cool, right? So I was looking at this guy's tags. By the way, anyone who enters the competition, I spy on your tags to see how you do. And I looked at this guy's tags, and for some reason, I was in the tags. So I don't know what's going on there, but he'd made a hype video for Guild Wars 2 that had nothing to do with the competition or anything. He never mentioned me. He never had any inspiration from me. Never anything, but wooden potatoes appeared in the tags, and I wanted to ask him about that. It was really kind of weird. Anyway, yeah, we got a mega thread about the different things, and I need to stop getting off topic. Christ. Where is this thread? Oh, there was that thread about in-game extreme harassment. That was actually insane, like a true psychopath. Actually scared me a little bit, because you know, I've had some nutters messaging me, but never someone who's quite that psycho. And it's sort of scary to think that inevitably one day it will happen, and I'm going to feel like I was in the wrong by provoking such a response. Small lore tidbits from Angel Lee McCoy. Thanks so much for the subs there, guys. Skilled Spells, welcome to the Spud Club. Yoshi355, welcome to the Spud Club. Lee100k, welcome to the Spud Club. If you guys want to check out the new flashy emotes we've got, be my guest. I think that was a kid, he was repeating himself a lot. I think psychotic morons repeat themselves a lot, no matter the age, but hey, there you go. Angel was at Trakon in Tampere, Finland. Is that how we say that? Here are the most interesting tidbits I recall. Oh, so this is second-hand information, unsighted. Maybe others can add something. We aren't allowed to visit Zodja because of germs and infections, winky face. What does that mean? How am I supposed to interpret this random person's internet winky face? Did Angel wink? What is that? Who's put that on there? Alright, so we aren't allowed to visit Zodja because of germs and infections. There was a tweet that Felicia Day was up for more VA work, but she just wasn't doing it, I guess. I don't know. ArenaNet did have a mind and name for Bubbles, but no one liked it, so they scrapped it, and she refused to reveal what that was. Oh, she should have revealed that. If it was a scrap name, that would be really cool. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have a name at all. They just have a vague idea that it could begin with an S or whatever it is, a K. It's an S, right? S for... No, it's K, isn't it? It's supposed to start... I can't remember. No, it's S. That's when Steve started, didn't it? Because before Steve, it was Bubbles. Yeah, and it's funny, is if you go play that Season 2 episode as well, they totally have... they totally have some checks in place there for that to all be wrong in a misdirection, and they can name it whatever the hell they want in the future. People might become attached to it and complain they didn't make it then. That's true, that is true, like the spider mount and stuff. Maybe you're right. I would find it curious, but other people would abuse it. She wanted to write more lore for the Norn, but there wasn't a time or place for these stories. What does that mean, there wasn't a time or... You're making the stories. You can make the time and the place. What? What about Bitterfrost Frontier? I take issue with that because I really think that Crack in the Ice needed ambient lore notes and books and things filtered throughout the cave that we do the last mission in, so that we could get more information about what Askia was doing there and stuff. And we could have got more interesting, deeper Norn lore. I really, really would have loved that. And they didn't do it. Do you know what I actually really think would be amazing? Don't you guys think this, right? That the season... And it would be a bad idea because it would set up the notion they can do it again at Season 4, and it gives them an opportunity to put out subpar content during Season 4. But wouldn't it be cool if the Living World teams just took one release, the space of one release, to go back to Season 3 and improve it all? Do you know what I mean? Just go back and be like, alright, let's add hearts to Bloodstone Fen. They've all got hearts except Bloodstone Fen. Bloodstone Fen feels weird right now. Let's put a couple of hearts in there. Oh yeah, there was that huge cave place in Bloodstone Fen we never did anything with in the end. Let's do something there. Okay, cool. Let's look at what we missed with Bitterfrost Frontier. Well, this area was pretty shit and it didn't have anything in the end. Let's bump the loot in there a little bit and let's reassess how we want people to be able to play that. This cave also didn't really have very much. What were we doing with the bone walls up here? Let's finally finalize that. Maybe let's tweak the rate of berries. Let's standardize some of the loot. Okay, let's look at what we failed with at Ember Bay. Alright, well, the worm encounter a lot of people didn't like. Smooshatron wasn't that interesting in the end, even though we were going for this sort of Jaeger versus Kaizu style thing. So let's improve this a little bit. Now we've got Aurora in the game, so maybe we can put some more overarching achievements a little bit like that. You know, touch it up. Go back to it all. Wouldn't that be cool? Take one release to just broadly polish that shit across all the season. I think that'd be... they could do a lot with that. They could accomplish a lot with that. Add another karma-based achievement that's across the whole thing. Do you know what I want, ArenaNet? Please, 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 please. I want an achievement for getting maxed out Karmic Retribution, and then the experience version, and then, what is it, Magic Fund as well? I want an achievement for maxing all of those empowerments up. Let me do that. Anyway, I went off topic again. Sorry, we were talking about lore. Hi guys, we're back. Let's see. Where can I send you a message about what may happen in the story and POF expansion, because I may have some interesting thoughts and I think it may interest you. I'm not joking. You can send me a PM right here if you want, and if you want me to publicly read it out, I can here as well. Just specify that right there and there. For someone that hasn't played for a long time, what's the allure of achievements? Just the raw accomplishment of getting them. The same as I felt when I was doing Ratchet and Clank all those years ago that had no gamer score or anything. But then you get achievement points on top, and many achievements come with specific rewards. Like doing a certain selection of achievements and collections gets you a legendary trinket at the moment. So for Season 3 that's a big thing. I'd be good with an episode just going back to like the Durban Priory Library again for more book lore. Let's ramp the 2012 map, says RTX. Don't get me started on that. I just like revamps, don't I? That's what it is. I just like revamps. I just like going back. What is wrong with me? It's this weird thing. I've got this weird thing that the stuff has to be perfect. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's go on. She wanted to write about Jenna looking for a successor to the throne with the locket, but that was cut as well. Oh. Interesting. Okay. That's quite curious to me. So I wonder what that means for the future. Probably nothing. We can just take it as an overhanging thread. The Malik story arc is difficult to continue because there are contradictions in lore that would take some effort to set straight. The Malik story arc is difficult to continue because there are contradictions in lore that would take some effort to set straight. What contradictions? Are they talking about the location of where the tree is supposed to be? How is that difficult? That's not difficult. You can easily worm your way around that. They do more finessing in regular core story in the episode 6 stuff than they would need to for the Malik stuff. What are the contradictions? I'm really curious about that. What do you guys think? Is it because she thinks that they should have been Mordrum, but the point was that the pod was dropped from the tree, so it could have been cut off from both Mordrum and... Well, it would essentially be like a Soundless, and Soundless survived the Mordrum Rising. They consider the Season 1 a mistake, and she was very frank about it. They weren't thinking ahead at all. Wow! What? They can... Ah, this sucks that this is third party. They consider the Season 1 a mistake, and she was very frank about it. They weren't thinking ahead at all. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I can't deny that it feels like it was wishy-washy and directionless. And that Season 1 really felt more like it was an experiment into how to update an MMO, and a very dramatic and wild thing, and there were a lot of moving parts, and I think the focus was probably more on this idea of, like, how content can be dropped in and how frequently it can be dropped in, instead of on what that content was actually delivering. And I understand as well some conservative attitudes at that time, where it's like, well shit, we don't even know how high quality we can put out the stuff's going to be. This is all wild. Let's not go into crazy big stories. Let's do some filler arcs while we find our feet. I can imagine all of those being things. I kind of want to be a contrarian all the time, though. Here I would take issue with that and say that Season 1 did do some good things. And you can't sort of say the whole thing was a mistake. Though humility I like a lot, and it's cool to hear that someone will be frank about that. What do we think in chat? What do you think, guys? Was Season 1 a big mistake? Next one is ArenaNet has a long-range plan for the overarching story, and they come up with the details as they go. Well, that's obvious. Well done. I would be worried. The only thing I'd be really worried about is if they don't actually know what the ultimate resolution of Guild Wars 2 is going to be. I think that they should know what that is. What is the ultimate resolution? Are we in a world where Tyria is destroyed by Oblivion? Are we in a world where we visit the mists and go to another world? Are we in a world where the Elder Dragons are replaced? Are we in a world where Elder Dragons are destroyed? What are we in? What is that's the only thing I think they really, really need to have sorted out. I think you can be generally prescriptive leaning or descriptive leaning with how you want your stories to go and come out with a good product in the end. I've seen good writers on both sides of the fence. Anyway, Timey was named after a 95-year-old woman whose purse Angel found in a bush after her wallet and credit cards had been stolen. However, the elderly woman was glad to get her purse back since her cookie hadn't been taken. Her cookie. Angel kept in touch with her and admired how she wasn't fazed by the robbery at all. The woman died while Angel was creating Timey and named her after her. The woman had a Finnish background, and Angel was aware that Timey means sapling in Finnish, which contributed to the naming choice. How does sapling contribute to Timey because she's small? Overall, she gave a very uplifting lecture and encouraged us to keep chasing our dreams, and that the universe, God, karma, fate will have our backs during difficult times. God? Really? Well, there you go. I think I have no problem with someone naming a character after a personal experience like that. I think that's fine. I think that speaks to them. That's their prerogative. I don't have any problem there. Now we have side stories. I'm really hoping that they'll consider revisiting some of the things like Malik, Queen Jenna's locket at all. It's been always been a problem for them when they feel like they've had to make every story right into the main plot, but now they have a whole system for things that are tangential. They could totally do it. Yeah, so that person's message I vaguely agree with. I'm a bit scared though. Some of those I think deserve to be more than side stories, like like Malik, I think deserves to be more than a side story. I also, though, would have said that I think Khalidbolg and Conclusion to Heart of Thorns should have been more than a side story, but I really liked it in the end, because the current events team was just that good at it, so I don't know. Maybe they can do a lot of different stuff. Maybe a lot of things are in scope. Tips Fedora. Why are we tipping our fedoras? What is this? Hey, my old aunt was called Timey as well, and yeah, finished. That's interesting. What am I reading? Sorry, we were reading a second-hand account of some comments that supposedly came from a dev that no longer works at the company, who was responsible for a lot of the writing in the more recent years. We're in a world 250 years after Guild Wars. We got airships, charcopters, but still sitting in a chair is beyond our technological skills. We can make them, just not use them. I do hope that's a trolly, jokey comment. I actually saw someone sincerely saying that Path of Fire needs us to be able to sit in chairs. And I'm like, wow, that's taken a meme way too far. It was interesting at least. Spent a night at a hotel. Apparently was very popular with Tracon visitors? Traken visitors? What's a Traken visitor? Is that a place? Is that a type of person? Is that a style of travel? I haven't seen this talked about anywhere, but Risosby was let go too. I think that's a loaded description there, Pathos. Let go? She wasn't let go, she left. And that was ages ago. I've talked about that on my stream. That was like a year ago, wasn't it? I talked about that way back. The breakfast service was full of otherworldly folk, fairies, goblins, and whatnot. Tracon is a convention here in Finland. Probably some kind of con. Well, go Finland. Good job, Finland. I like to hear nice things happening in that area of the world. A style of travel. What? I'm shooting in the dark. It could have been. Alright, here, I'm going to try something now. Studio mode. Ads. Okay, so hold on, studio mode, ads, window capture, notepad, law notes notepad, window title must match, capture cursor, go. Alright, now let's turn off studio mode. There you go, boom. Oh guys, look, it's working. Oh, look at this streaming quality. Don't you think I'm just the best streamer now? Honestly. Didn't I become a total pro? Basically, Waldir taught me some stuff, and now I'm just like a legend. I'm just a god. I don't actually know why I don't have more stream viewers than League of Legends right now. Because clearly you can't touch this insane quality. Hold on, I'm even putting a mask on right now. Hold on. Wait for it. Wait. It's not done just yet, guys. We're gonna stretch that, and then we're gonna do that. Boom. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh yeah. Twitch Rights Living World Season 4. Yeah, baby. Oh yeah. All right, now let's bump the font up a little bit to, like, I don't know, that, and then let's go to our classic wooden potatoes font. Oh yeah. All right. Except nothing is in the box. Yeah, well, we're typing it out now. So hold on. What we're gonna script this? We're gonna call it. Oh my god, WP is reaching streaming nirvana mode. Alright, so this is going to be based on the story, alright? So what are the important storylines to have in Path of Fire? So first of all, we're going to have Balthazar, right? But the question is it going to be a, does he die? Is it going to be a big battle? He becomes an ally? I suppose the other thing that we're looking at here is explanation of the mirror. So we heard that he had Lissa's mirror, and I think we should get some explanation of that. We also, I'm pretty sure the devs quite like bluntly expressed this, that Balthazar, they're not done explaining why he hid as Lazarus, right? Like they're not done with that. So I think that that's something we'll be looking at. Does killing Balthazar hurt Tyria as well? He'll die, but I hope not, to be honest. Do you think he will die? What else do you think that they will give us on Balthazar on this, guys? What do you think? Locked away? You don't think they want to repeat the Guild Wars 1 plot? Well, if they lock him away, then that is the Guild Wars 1 plot. That's the Abaddon plot. So we got to be careful here. What we're trying to compile is a list of things that probably should be in it, not things we want to see in it, yeah? So this is sort of a story equivalent of the thing. Now people will judge my spelling. Yeah, I don't really care, to be honest. I hope he ends up evil and there is inner conflict amongst the gods. Do you think... Oh yeah, so Menzies. So Menzies could be... in it. So, and the character from the trailer, of course, we have too. I'm not going to run word wrap. We're going to do it that way. We're going to do it that way. Oh no, that's what we want to do. What else have we got? As a Guild Wars player, I think the devs need to be more clear with the new players that the gods were not ultimately benevolent all the time. They remind me more of the Greek gods in that they're a mix of good and bad, and so many players think that they are goody-goodies. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that a lot of people, they hear the word god and they don't quite realise that these are not. I mean, a lot of fantasy franchises do gods in this way now, though. And I say now, I mean over the past 20 years. So it's weird that people haven't quite cottoned on. Shaman said that character's probably a PC in an outfit. Oh, did he really? You mean brother and not father? Well, it could be either. Balthazar was said to come on the battlefield with the head of his father. So if we see a decapitated character that looks like Balthazar, it could be the father, or more likely it could be Menzies, who also has been suggested to have been decapitated and is a lot closer to the story and is not just some like tiny like random ass little mention in a scroll, but actually has a lot more precedent in the plot. So I say that the brother is the more likely thing. I had some like foolish people who thought they knew the lore that didn't know about Menzies at all and thought that I was just making some mistakes, but not at all. Okay, I said this in spoilers, but I think Balthazar has been tainted because Masart bits we use for him to res. Interesting, I guess. If he does die, do we get a new God of War? Oh yeah, there you go. Ritlock. This isn't good. This is the way that this is happening with Twitch. This is just becoming wild speculation. Let's move on from Balthazar for a second. What else? What are the other big topics? Alright. So another big topic I think absolutely needs to be in this expansion and should be in this expansion is the Hall of Ascension. So this is an area in the Crystal Desert that we went to in Guild Wars 1 to ascend, this idea of becoming closer to the gods. It was a golden, beautiful, constructed room, golden architecture we now associate with the Forgotten. So I think we'll get... and it was the Forgotten that gave us the trials before. I think that we will go back to the Hall of Ascension. I think that they will make it look gorgeous and beautiful and wonderful. Speaking of which, what do you guys think? Will the Forgotten be in the expansion? Will we meet Forgotten? Why is ArenaNet so anti-squirrel? I would love to see a Forgotten in Guild Wars 2. With their arms, with their it would be so cool. It would be really, 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 really interesting. I'd love to see that. So what else do we think will come? Palawa Joko. What are the big topics surrounding Palawa Joko that we think should be explored? So he could talk about Chiraiyosa, and he could talk about when Chirai was in the desert and the temple that we went to in GW1. What else might have happened with Palawa Joko? What he did with his power. I think that they'll explore this whole idea that he's tainted the culture there, definitely. How will Palawa react to the conflict? So I kind of think of him as a bit like Peter Baelish, Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. I think there will be an interesting idea that Palawa will just sit back and watch the chaos of the situation and seek to capitalize in his own ways as time goes forward. I like that idea. Because it's kind of what he did in GW1 as well. He let us duke it out with Abaddon, and he let us figure out Nightfall and stuff, and in the meantime, he made his gains in the background. And I kind of like the idea. I feel like there's very... Palawa Joko you can kind of think of as a funny, interesting, likeable Peter Baelish. So, yeah. New info or references to Cormyr would be cool. So, yeah, will Cormyr be in the expansion? So, by the way, the other big antagonist, obviously, is Kralkatorrik. What do we think about Kralkatorrik, guys? What do we think on this? So there'll be talk of his recent movements, which we see on the world map. But what else? What else might Kralkatorrik do? What's the conclusion of the Kralkatorrik story? Yeah, I think talking about Aurene at this point is good. Actually, I think that those are separate. Hold on. I think that this here... So these are sort of antagonists. Now let's talk about protagonists. Glint. I think we're absolutely... I think we're going to get this, and I think we're also going to get... Remember, Living World Season 2, the episode where you go to Glint's lair, a mysterious stranger gives the Master of Peace Aurene's egg. The Master of Peace attempts to get it to Tyria, is waylaid by Kaith, we get it, we put it in Tyria, and Aurene is born. All of this started because of a mysterious stranger. So is it going to be Gleam? Is Gleam the mysterious stranger? I think that that's going to be all expansion territory. Definitely. Or an explanation from Aurene of why Balthazar protected her? Maybe. So Ritlock is another thing. Wait, hold on. Let's just quickly type Aurene. So what will Aurene do? Will she absorb Kralk's power? Will she do that? What else might she do in the expansion? Will we ride her? Lol. Gleam is Glint's first scion, yes, indeed. So will we see this? I don't really have anything else. What else is there to say about Aurene? I mean, Christ, there's not really much, is there? Alright, let's go to our next protagonist. Ritlock. Explanation of the sword is obviously coming. Both the trailer explicitly says that we'll get it, and the demo has that line. If I have to ask you once more, I'm going to get that information. They're not going to tease us anymore. It's coming in this expansion. But will we get to experience it like when we were playing as Kaith in Season 2 or the bonus mission pack in Guild Wars 1, which I really want to do. I want to be able to go there. So that leads us on as well. Fissure of Woe. Next raid. Realm of Torment as well. Are these locations of endgame? Or the story climax? So I don't know whether these are appropriate for this video, because this is a bit too speculative at this point. I think what I should really do, what I want this video to be, is the stuff that the expansion will go into. That's what it should be. So I'll narrow this down after the stream is over. What would the bosses be in those raids? That's a whole other topic. Stop taking my name. That would completely derail us here. Whatever happened to Magdea? Oh yeah, do you think there might be Magdea's story? That's a good one. Lore for the new elites, introducing them to the player character. Yeah, we know that, but that's more of a feature thing. I'm talking about big set pieces from the story. Stuff that will be there in the story. A ruined Vabi. Starved out because of the damming of the river. We'll be going to the dam as well, obviously. I hope the dam's interesting. Can you imagine how big the dam could be? You know the Divinity's Reach dam from 2012? Like, what if they do like a super crazy out the ass version of that is just enormous? It's like the wall, right? It's insanely huge. That would be very cool. It'd be cool if they played with Elder Dragon Origins. What other big things is it sort of like the devs need to do this, or the expansion is like shite? Honestly, I don't think they even needed Casimir in there. They didn't need Kanak in there. They didn't need Marjorie in there. Though that's a pretty good cast, I think. What about in terms of Char stuff? If Kralkatorrik dies, we should get the Char response to this. I think in terms of a scene in the expansion as well, I think we need to actually see Balthazar versus Kralkatorrik, right? There is no Marjorie. Sorry, who's the other character? I think you're looking for too much from Path of Fire and need to include all of this in Season 4. Yeah, some of the stuff on this list is not going to be in the video, I don't think, if I do this video. I think sort of the dig downs are more speculative, but the top points I think really we should see. I think we should see Balthazar in the expansion. I think we should see the Hall of Ascension in the expansion. I think we should see the Forgotten in the expansion. That's slightly more speculative. I think we should see Palawa Joko. We should see Kralkatorrik. We should have a setup where they're fighting one another. We should return to Glint's Lair. We should see something of Aurene or the Egg when we're there. We should have an explanation of the sword. We should see a ruined Vabi. We should see more information about Cormyr. Whether she'll physically appear is a question, though. This probably won't make it into the video at all. I don't think that should be in the expansion. It would be nice. A lot of this would be nice, but yeah. What else, guys? What else is it's like? This is totally going to be in the X pack. Otherwise, you know, it's sort of failed in its ambition. What, Balthazar and Path of Fire? Nonsense. Right, like, that's what I'm talking about. Logan should appear. He's a pretty major player now. Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe he doesn't become a firebrand yet. An actual ending, like something the story can roll credits on and tie them into the next story. It's a great point, but I don't know whether they'll do that.
I don't actually have a reasonable expectation we'll get it. Sunspear resistance should appear. There is no Sunspear resistance. There's the Spellbreakers and whatever extra little things they like to write in, but based on the movement of the world, they're slaughtered and gone, basically. And they've turned into the Mordant Crescent. Oh. But you're goddamn right they'll appear. Hell yes. That is a brilliant one for the list, the Mordant Crescent. I think that's what they're called, right? I always forget their name. Logan is Pact Leader. Sure, but how do we know the Pact are going to be in this? Alright, I'll put that. I think that's now pretty reasonable to say. That, yeah, the Pact... I mean, do you guys think we could get this expansion without the Pact? Because it is kind of just a minor sortie, our adventure to the desert at the start of the demo. Have I mentioned the other gods yet? Think they'll show up too? Aside from Lyssa and Cormyr, I don't see too much. And Abaddon. Or talk of Abaddon. Mordant Crescent was already mentioned in the demo ambient dialogue. Really? What did they say about the Mordant Crescent in the ambient dialogue? I must have missed that. Evan Nashblade? Well, we know Keel and stuff's at the start, but I don't think that's really... We've already seen that, so that's not sort of interesting for video material. Oh. The dreaded grammar fail. I wonder what the boss fight will be. At this point, it's pure guessing with all these adversaries. Yeah, what it will all end with. The Pale Tree giving us an explanation for why she didn't tell the commander about the Sylvari before we ran balls deep into Morty and destroyed the Pact. I held her personally responsible for that catastrophe. That's fine, but that's obviously a joke and it's not going to be appear with. The Pact might still be recovering from the Heart of Thorn stuff, so they might not play much of a role. Yeah, I can see space for them to not play much of a role, I can. It would be nice to see Logan managing to make amends to honour Glint's legacy. Yeah, where do I want to put this? Destiny's Edge. I think that that's totally fair. Destiny's Edge getting revenge for Snap and Glint, and all the plots that sort of orbit that. Like I'm guessing Zodja. Oh, well, is that what Angel basically said? That Zodja's not in the expansion a second ago in her lore tidbit? Is that basically what she said? I don't know. Or was that in reference to season 3? Not much. 2 traders at the bottom right edge of the playable space say there was a group of them coming through. Oh. Perhaps the Herald of Balthazar's former identity before becoming Forge might play a role, and she is a recurring antagonist in Path of Fire. Yeah, that's a good point. The Forged. More details on the Herald? Yeah, I think we'll see that. Just as we'll see details on the Awakened with Palawa. So hold on, let me do it this way. The Branded we already know a lot about. I'm not sure whether we need more information on the Brandeds for the third enemy, but yeah. Livia. So Livia's a good idea, and I like. Livia is obviously, you know, they're starting something there, but is it for Path of Fire? I don't know. If it is, it would be perhaps to use her in some kind of exploration of the Staff of the Mists, which was in that area of the world, as well as the Scepter of Ore. But I don't know whether it's guaranteed to be in the expansion. In some small capacity, I'm sure they'll talk about the Staff of the Mists. So yeah, we can do that. Speaking of Awakened, the Awakened Merchant now actually sells stuff. She can make a surprising appearance.
I'd rather have them just switch voice actors and not use the character at all. It seems like a waste. Yeah, I don't know whether it's because of the voice actress, though, at this point. Jenna showing up, humans nations reconnecting should be a big deal for them. Jenna never had anything really to do with those, though. That WP font still sounds like someone is screaming in all caps in my head. Yeah, it's actually the Angry Birds font. Just lifted straight from Angry Birds. It's theirs. Didn't they already say their Eternals fused into armors on Guild Chat? I haven't seen that Guild Chat, so maybe. But even if they said that on Guild Chat, it doesn't mean it won't be in the expansion. What you think that people are required to watch the live streams to get the lore? No, like there'll be something in game that talks about it. So it's still worthwhile for the video. What do you think about the huge scar where Kralkatorrik is now? Did he make a house or fall from the sky? Why is it so big? Just accumulating a lot of energy, maybe? I don't know. Oh, Order of Whispers. Well done. Well done. Yep, well done. The Order of Whispers and the Order of Shadows, I think, yeah, definitely. There should be stuff on that. I think these are all very rich areas to explore. I think this is all stuff that really should be touched on. Bram, no, they already confirmed Bram's not even in it. You're really interested to see other races appear in Alona? This is the first time we enter a Guild Wars 1 expansion area that didn't have any of the other races? Yeah. Identity of E. I don't think that has to be in Path of Fire. It's a possibility, but it can't be. Have Jin been mentioned? Sure, Jin will be there, but this isn't about listing everything that can be in the expansion. What, you want me to write Hydra? You want me to write Choya and the fact we might get a little bit of information? It's about large, you know, important stuff in the story. Are the Jin going to be large, important aspects of the story? Maybe, but not strong enough for me to put it on the list, I don't think. Like, maybe the Hidden City... Oh, I don't know. The Hidden City? Would we go back there? And get Zomoros information at the same time? I like the idea of when we get back to Vabi, seeing the Hidden City and talking about this Hidden City. I just don't know whether it's quite enough. You think they might include the Tomb of the Primeval Kings? That's a good question. Zephyrite? Yeah, Zephyrite. But what I will do is Zephyrite is here, right? There, we'll put the Zephyrites there. Because that's where I think that their capacity comes into it. How we get mounts ties into the story. I think that's you're right about that, but I don't know whether I can make any more pointed prediction than that will be a thing, which they've told us already, so it's not really knowable. Proprietors Alambur and Chief Counsellor Iman had severe foreshadowing in the Amnoon dialogue, so they'll play some role. Yeah, I think that's fair. But again, too obvious to make it on the list. There was something about a sandstorm that attacked, and I'm wondering whether we'll hear who was behind that sandstorm and stuff. Almora Soulkeeper's personal gripe to fight Kralkatorrik. That's interesting. Yeah, so let's do this here. I think that fits vaguely under the Pact header. Do you think we'll see the first Scion? I hope so. I think it should explore that. I don't know whether we'll see it, but I think it should explore that, and I have mentioned that in the thing. By the way, and I will end this video with another comment. Like, I'll put here the opportunity for curveballs. When we look at Heart of Thorns and the stories it gave us, it's actually quite surprising to me. There was a lot of stuff in there that I didn't expect. I didn't expect, like, the Zin stuff, for example, from Auric Basin at all. At any level. I didn't expect it, and yet they put it in there. They found time to get it in there. And so they did go beyond my expectations in several places with Heart of Thorns. They failed to meet a lot of the really important ones, obviously. But in a couple of places they went beyond expectation. And I think that we can expect something similar for Path of Fire. I kind of want to look at the leaked maps right now, because I kind of want to see whether the Fortress of Jahai appears on the border of the southernmost map, but I feel like that would be a bit sneaky to do that. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I'm wondering if Joko is going to be an ally this time or not. I hope he will be. He's an economic partner that we hate. Yeah, I think that's a good role for him. How the Elonans respond to Charles Silvari Asurans. That's cool, but yeah, not really a big story beat, so. Info about or even cooperating with remnants of the Sunspears. I doubt that that will be a big story beat. Maybe could be, but I've already written the Mordant Crescent, so that sort of includes all of that. I hope we go north into the Char homelands after Path of Fire. I really hope Ritlock becomes important, though this plot feels like it's been sidelined. How will Kanak tie in? Yeah, it's a good question how Kanak will tie in. Did Joko ever claim Varesh's body? Wow, that's a great thought, man. Would be interesting to see her return. Dude, that is cool. Well done. You've proper excited me there. I've never even considered that. Because Joko hated the Osses too. That is really cool. Holy shit. I love that idea. And I'm going to steal that. And I'm going to mention that in the video. Let's see here. Where did we write about Joko? Joko will be an ally in events will mirror Guild Wars 1 until the end when Balthazar manages to destroy Kraukatoric. You think Balthazar will win? This is a bit like Batman v Superman, isn't it, really? Who will win? Is that realistic? How far away is Joko from the Kings? It's very realistic that Joko could have claimed Varesh's body. Totally. It's very, very, very possible. WP stealing your ideas, the truest sign of love from him. Absolute plagiarism. Idea plagiarism. If you don't put a copyright on it, I'm taking it. You make this, I made this. In an old video, you said the devs have no plans to add Cantha. Now the expansions are part of Guild Wars 2, do you think they'll ever go there? Yeah, potentially. If I did ever say that. That seems weird, because I can't remember ever actually having that opinion. But if I did ever say that. Oh my god, guys, I've just realised my clock is an hour behind, isn't it? We've been streaming for ages. Shit! Oh my god. Alright, guys, we're going to have to wrap this up. See, to me, it just says it's about 7 right now, but it's actually later than that, isn't it? It's about 8. So, yeah, is there anything you really feel should be on this list? Last chance, guys. Abaddon's Mouth, stuff from Guild Wars 1 Nightfall Battle. Yeah, I've got the Realm of Torment entrance written somewhere. And that's sort of what I mean. The devs also hinted at the possibility of us learning more of Kos. My guess is we'll encounter Kos and Melani's descendant. Yeah, I'll have to watch that stream and it can inform me a bit better. You expect Balthazar to win and then the heroes and Joko to put a miracle out for a win. I know we started an hour late. What I meant was that the stream's over. It's 20 minutes late. Already. Kos has the Scepter of Awe. And he's still alive. I love it. That's a funny idea. Baby Dragon in the Lost City. We already talked about that. Timey. What about Timey? There should be corruption mechanics. Yeah, well, that's not story. I think we're exhausted, guys. I think the only things people are saying is like another WP reference, like the Maguma Bow. Oh my god, absolutely essential story beat right there. Yes, I think we need that. There you go. So, broadly speaking, that is what the content of the story of the expansion would be, according to my expectations, and supplemented a bit here by Twitch chat. These are the big things that I would expect to come up on the story, and very little else, really. But these are all some great things, and there's a lot to get through there. There's a lot of meat already. A lot of meat. Let's hope that unlike the Batman v Superman movie release, which also had a lot to get through, including various origin stories and stuff, that Path of Fire doesn't have too much on its plate. You have no idea what Joker's going to do, and I kind of like it. Yeah, me too. Me too. And so there you go, guys. That's the stream. Yeah, I wrote about Ascension. Hall of Ascension right here. I think we'll get details. By the way, Season 2 is like explored this idea of the pure fire or whatever, the god magic against dragons being strong because it got Mordramoth's influence to recede. So I wonder whether they'll dig a bit more into that. But yeah. The Tree of Saborin. Yeah, I would expect that to be in Vabian stuff, but I don't know whether it'll be a core B. Could be. But I'm not certain enough to say. Well, there you go, guys. That is the stream for today. Thanks very much for watching. Bit of a weird one. Did we enjoy this? Type of 1 if you liked it, type of 2 if you hated it. Would you have rathered more gameplay? And I'm being serious, please don't troll. Would you have rathered more gameplay or was this fun? Because I'll use that to inform whether we do this again in the future. You talked about Salt Spray Dragon, I must have been distracted. Alright, so people did like it. Okay, cool. Alright, well maybe in the future we'll do some more like this. I'm kind of in this weird mode where I feel like people want gameplay all the time. And maybe we can have a bit more. There'll be a bit of Path of Fire gameplay rolling on the end as we roll out here, guys. Thanks again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for those big donations earlier as well. That's really, really lovely and very generous of you all. And I will see you tomorrow. Same time, and I'll probably advertise the next one. How about that? And I'll try and fix my system clock. Jesus, it's 8:30. Christ. See you next time, guys.